G'day everyone, I'm David Reedy. Welcome to Piano Finally, a podcast by an old bloke who's getting around to learning the piano. Finally. Welcome to show number 72. Thank you very much for listening. If this is the first time you're hearing the podcast, I hope you enjoy what's in the show. If you're back for another episode, then thanks for coming back. If you too are learning a musical instrument, let me know how you're going with it. You can contact me at david@pianofinally.show. I'm going to talk about it a bit more later in the show, but I'm enjoying practicing more than usual at the moment. I'm working mostly on 3 pieces, one of which is the first piece of real classical music. It's a step up in difficulty, but it's a fun challenge. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, the real classical piece, is coming along. I'm now practicing the first 4.5 bars. I've noticed that it's a really bad idea to try to play Blackout Blues straight after playing Moonlight. The start of Moonlight has left-hand octaves to start, C sharp, A, G sharp and F sharp. That's going well, but as soon as I try Blackout Blues, it falls apart. Blackout Blues opens with fifths, and it seems that it takes a couple of false starts to get my left hand back to spanning the right distance. Apart from practice, I can't see why I'd be playing a modern blues piece immediately after a classical standard, so it's not likely to be an actual problem anytime soon. I'm just hoping that Beethoven doesn't suddenly switch to fifths in Moonlight. In 2023, pianist Yuja Wang performed all 4 Rachmaninov Piano Concertos and Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini in one evening at Carnegie Hall in New York. This was the first time such a program had been attempted. Not even Rachmaninov himself performed all 4 concertos in one concert. Apart from it being a tremendous feat of endurance, it was also part of a study into the way performers and audiences react to music. To get some objective data, Yuja, the conductor Yannick Nézet-Séguin, and some members of the orchestra and members of the audience wore heart rate monitors throughout the afternoon and evening. There are 2 videos I found about the concert. One is on the Carnegie Hall YouTube channel. It looks in great detail at the data that was collected and the correlations between the conductor, musicians and Yuja, and then how the audience's heart rates tracked along with the music. The other is from Robert Fleitz of Tone Bass, where he looks more generally at the information from the study. Robert also speaks about how going to a concert and connecting with the artist is such an important part of the experience. The video also includes short interviews with other musicians, such as Seymour Bernstein, about performance. Together, the 2 videos are a really interesting look at a concert from another angle completely. I compared Yuja's heart rate to mine when I go swimming, and they're about the same. So maybe I should add practicing the piano to my exercise routine. If I remember, during the week I'll start a workout on my watch when I sit down to practice and let you know how it goes. I thought that it was interesting that the highest average heart rate was for the audience. I don't think that this indicates that they were more emotionally involved in the music than the musicians. Instead, I think it reflects on the average age and general health of the listeners as opposed to the performers. Both videos are worth watching. The Tone Bass one includes a brief advertisement for their upcoming Black Friday sale, which you can skip as the video has chapter markings. There are links in the show notes to the 2 videos. A bit of a challenge. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I've been enjoying practicing a bit more over the past couple of weeks. This hasn't been because it has become easier, but because it has become more challenging, but in a good way. I've now been learning the piano for nearly 2 years, and I think I'm starting to get somewhere. I'm able to manage pieces that are in the grade 1 exams, not quite to examination standard yet, but reasonably well. Like most adults who start later in life, I didn't have just one reason for deciding to buy a keyboard and get started. There were a few. But there is a combination of 2 of those reasons that has led to my current practice repertoire. My primary reason for starting to learn is to eventually be able to play music for others. And let's face it, the music you learn as a beginner is really useful as a starting point, but even the most dedicated family member or closest friend is not going to be entertained for long by 8 bars of Ode to Joy or a simplified version of Amazing Grace. The total running time of the 4 pieces I prepared for Devi's piano recital was just on 3 minutes, and although I'm happy to play them for anyone who'll listen, I'm not anywhere close to my eventual goal. I would like to be able to play some real music. Yes, I know all the things I've been playing are real music, but I'd like to be able to play something that people might hear at a proper classical music concert. Music that you might hear from Daniel Trifonov or Yuja Wang. And that, of course, is the problem. Ms. Wang and Mr. Trifonov have been playing the piano since they were children and performing as professional pianists for over 4 decades between them. So they're not going to be performing beginners' pieces unless it's as a joke. There is, however, hope. Classical composers did not go all out in every bar in every piece of music. There are always some less complex sections, both for musical reasons and to give the performer a chance to get ready for the next big thing. And some of those less complex sections are well known. It's not a coincidence that I picked Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata as my first attempt at some real music. It's easily recognised, if not from the concert hall, then from advertising, and the opening is not too difficult, and it's slow. I'll include a link to Daniel Barenboim playing it. This is one of my favourite recordings. Choosing a piece like this, however, has a big disadvantage for a learner. One of the things Devi has had me practice all along is to continue playing without stopping after a mistake. I've successfully done it a couple of times and unsuccessfully tried it many more. But as I've said on many occasions to my debating and public speaking students, if you can keep going, the audience will probably not even notice a slip or omission, and often they'll quickly forget it. With the pieces I've been playing so far, only Devi and I know what they're meant to sound like, so a small mistake will slip past a casual listener. This isn't the case in an exam, where the examiner will know the piece well and have a copy of the score, but I'm not playing for an examination. But there's the rub. If I make a mistake in a well-known piece, especially a slow, uncomplicated piece, it's going to be noticeable. That's not a game stopper though, it's just an added incentive to get it right. I don't need the incentive though. I'm really enjoying practicing this piece. It sounds the same as on the recordings. Yes, I stop a bit sooner, a few hundred bars sooner, but the bars I play sound great, usually. The effect this has had on my practice is such that I find myself doing an extra session in the evening just to get better at this piece. If I were being sensible, the Moonlight Sonata would still be years away from being added to my repertoire. Perhaps it would never get there. However, accepting a bit of a challenge is adding some extra joy to my learning. Given that we spend so much time practicing rather than playing, it's great that, at the moment, the practicing is fun once again. I found the book that I'm reviewing this week on the shelf in Mooloolaba Music while I was up in Queensland. I always have a look at the sheet music section when I'm in a store. You never know what you might find, and indeed I hadn't seen this book before. It's called Easier Classical Piano, and it's published by Hal Leonard. It's quite a hefty book, A4-sized pages, and over 300 of them. The book has a plastic comb binding so that it will sit flat at the piano, and as you would expect, it is clearly printed on high-quality paper. The strange thing is that I would have expected it to cost a lot more than the $53 I paid for it. There are links in the show notes, but it appears to be out of stock at all the Australian shops I regularly use. You can get it on Amazon, but their description of the book is hopelessly wrong. I still haven't found the ukulele arrangements in it yet. There are 174 pieces in the book, from 44 composers. It's only 44 if you think that all the anonymous works were composed by the same person. Otherwise, it's 43 named composers and 4 anonymous pieces. The pieces are arranged by composer in alphabetical order. I would have preferred chronological order perhaps, but this way works too. The front cover says that the pieces are at lower intermediate to intermediate level, so I'm not planning on playing any of them just yet, but the book was too good an opportunity to pass up. The book gets straight down to business. Unlike many books which will include essays, or at least descriptions of the pieces, this volume is just the music. The only additional material is the title page and the table of contents. It doesn't even credit an editor, but it does have plenty of material. After 4 anonymous pieces, 3 Bachs start the book: Carl Philipp Emanuel, Johann Sebastian, and Wilhelm Friedmann. Beethoven is well represented with 19 pieces, including country dances, bagatelles, escoceses, and sonatinas. There's a lot of Burgmüller's work, as well as Clementi, Handel, and Haydn. There are also numerous pieces by Mozart, Schumann, and Tchaikovsky, and there are many works by lesser known, or completely unknown to me, composers. Most of the pieces are reasonably short, generally a page or 3, and even the Chopin pieces don't look too intimidating. If you're getting towards intermediate level and you want convenient access to a large number of shorter classical pieces, this is an excellent purchase. I'll include some links in the show notes if you're interested in getting it. I'm going to get less practice time in this coming week, as I'll be spending 3 days at Lake Macquarie to the north of Sydney. Now, you might think that that sounds relaxing, except that I'll be there with our Year 9 students for their annual school camp. So I'm thinking it will be challenging and busy rather than relaxing. I'm just hoping that the weather will remain nice. The forecast is for it to be sunny. I haven't been to the venue that we are using before, so I don't know if there is a piano there or not. I'll pack the sheet music and iPad just in case. If you'd like to contact me, email is the best way. You'll find me at david@pianofinally.show and the website at www.pianofinally.show. In both cases, Piano Finally is all one word. The show is also available on Spotify and as an audio-only stream on YouTube. You can subscribe via any popular iOS or Android podcast application, or from directories such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. I also post an excerpt and link for each episode as an Instagram reel. The show is already on the Piano Finally YouTube channel, but it's audio only. Is anyone interested in me adding video to the show? I already have most of the equipment and software needed to add video of me and the piano, but I'm not sure that anyone would be interested. If you have an opinion, please let me know via email at david@pianofinally.show. Also, if you're learning an instrument, let me know where you are in your journey. What's going well and what are the challenges, and are you enjoying them? How are you managing your time, and what pieces are you enjoying the most? So, until next week, I hope your piano stays in tune and you enjoy your time at the keys. Winan Rossi's A Wild Chase is coming along, slowly. I can now play the piece mostly from memory, although I still have the music open on the piano. I'm working on getting it even, and it's still much slower than indicated on the score. I'm also trying to get the last phrases linked up a bit better. Next up is the beginning of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. It's not quite as even as I'd like, and I'm still using the score for the last bars. I'm practicing a bit further than I've recorded, but I'm making progress. The nice thing is, it's already at the right speed. Not that I'm getting faster, it's just that it's a slow piece, and I'm enjoying it sounding good, even though it is just a small piece of it. The last piece is Trumpet Tune by Jeremiah Clarke, attributed to Henry Purcell. Debbie and I chose it because it's Baroque sounding, and it has a more complex rhythmic structure than most of the pieces I've been working on. I'm still mostly practicing the first couple of bars, hand separately. The music was recorded using the Kawai NV10 as the keyboard and the M4 Pro Mac Mini running the new Cubase 15 DAW with Pianotech 9 emulating a Seguro Kawai SKEX grand piano in concert mode.